I'm Michael Fox, and this is the Prospector Podcast. And I am joined today by the chairman of the board of Apollo Silver, Andy Bowering. Welcome, Andy.
Thank you very much, Michael.
It's good to have you on here. This is going to be a very timely discussion, but before we get into the real meat of this discussion, let's get a quick overview of what Apollo Silver is and what you're doing and why you're doing it.
Apollo Silver is a junior resource explorer developer that was founded 4.5 years ago, has two projects in Southern California and Northern Mexico that combined, and is a little bit outside of 43101, but has its arms around about 400 million ounces of silver equivalent. The projects are of equal size. One is under option from a major or a mid-tier in the silver space. The other was bought from a mid-tier in the silver space. And good management team, good capital structure, about an 80 million market cap, and plans to advance both projects in what seems to be a very exciting precious metal market.
Yeah, it is. And the excitement it went to a bit of a fever pitch a couple of weeks ago, and that's specifically what we're going to talk about. There was a major merger in the silver space with Pan American Silver putting a 2.1 billion, and yes, folks, that's billion with a B, offer to buy Mag Silver. Now, this is going to affect your company indirectly in the Mexican property that you have. But before we get down to you and the merger at a company level, let's take a look and step our way through the merger. It's a big merger. How is this going to affect other companies in the silver space? And is this going to start to gravitate more activity and action within the silver space?
I think it's going to. The silver space is relatively small. There are few participants in it, and you're starting to see them disappear with Pan American's takeover of Mag, the First Majestic takeover, Silvercrest's purchase last year. It's starting to be a smaller field. And so I think there's considerable opportunity for the Silver Explorer developers to get more investor support, given the field's getting smaller, and then ultimately for more merger and acquisition in the space. And that's what we, all aspire to at the end of the day is being taken out by somebody bigger and better.
Yeah, and preferably with an offer that begins with the letter B as well.
Exactly.
Okay. Let's go another step down. Like we've talked about the big picture in silver, and you're correct. Yeah, the silver market itself is very small, and any activity is going to have an outsized effect and look on it. But this particular consolidation happens in Mexico, which under the previous president became kind of a bit of a barren state for mining. It was very hard to get anything permitted. It was very hard to move projects forward. And it kind of scared away some of the money from the silver space, which Mexico holds a very substantial portion of that. So does this merger indirectly say that Mexico is okay and open for business again?
I think so. I was saying to somebody yesterday, I've been repeating it for a while. I think that the people that have come into Mexico in the last year or so, just prior, say, to the end of AMLO's reign, that's a good choice of words, I guess. Anyway, just prior to the end of AMLO and the election of Sheinbaum as the new president, the money that's come into the space is getting big rewards. And I think this, as you say, this is just the beginning of it. Mexico got cheap, and you're right. AMLO tried to uproot the whole mining industry, tried to eliminate any new mineral claims, tried to reduce the time period that mining claims exist, banning open pits, putting community water and environmental issues first. And look, I don't disagree with any of these things, but you have to do things in moderation in any industry. And AMLO made some big mistakes in trying to nationalize the electric grid in all kinds of areas of the economy. And all you have to do is look at, like, Pemex lost $43 billion. And here you go with a B, $43 billion last year. And there aren't a lot of oil companies losing money, and Pemex has lost a ton of money. The electrical CVA lost a ton of money in Mexico. They need foreign investment. They need the mining industry. The mining industry is probably 10 to 15% of the overall economy directly, and when you consider all the spin-offs, it's significantly higher, and it's probably even a higher number in northern Mexico. So watching companies that got their footing in Mexico, Alamos is one, all of a sudden start to go, Agnico, big operations in Mexico, and all of a sudden these companies are starting to acquire assets in the United States and in Canada. Orla's another one. All of a sudden it looked like this diversification out of Mexico over the last 3 or 4 years. Well, I think the bottom was in. I think this Pan American purchase of MAG and the First Majestic purchase of Gatos are saying to us that Mexico is the place to be. And then there's a lot of macro indications with the Trump administration going to try and affect some change in Mexico. And I think the time's now.
Yeah, given what had happened with AMLO driving a lot of the prices down, the Mag Silver purchase had a pretty hefty premium attached to it to make the deal very worthwhile for Mag shareholders.
Yeah, they got, I forgot what they were getting, but there was 500 million in cash and then another, I don't know what, 3/4 of a share of Pan American. I don't know what it worked out to be, but it was a good premium to the market. Mag's a one mine company. Juanicipio is a fabulous mine, and Fresnillo is the 55% owner of it, with Mag only having 45. But this bolts on another 18 or 19 million ounces of annual production for Pan American. They paid, like you said, 2.1 billion for it. I think it's good for the industry. I think it's a telltale for what else there is to come, and it certainly bodes well for us, both at macro level and micro level.
Yeah. So let's talk about this merger as it affects your company. Mag Silver was a significant investor in Apollo. You got your Cinco de Mayo property in northern Mexico as a JV out of Mag Silver. But your California property, if I remember correctly, that came out of Pan American Silver. So you're kind of friendly with both parties. So what's the significance, and how is that going to change things for Apollo now that Pan American is in and Mag Silver's out?
So correct, or Pan American sold us Waterloo in San Bernardino County, California. We bought it in 2021 for 41 million Canadian dollars. So we've got a good relationship with them. First and foremost, the deal with Mag is we have an option on Cinco de Mayo, and if we're successful in exercising the option, we will have to give MAG a 19.9% stake in Apollo. And so ultimately, that will be Pan American getting that stake in us. And so there's sort of two factors here that matter. One is that we do have a good relationship with Pan American, and so we would expect that to continue. And that might help us out in negotiations with them in unforeseen things that we might need to talk about. Pan American's a much bigger company. This will be of less consequence for them, but because we have a good working relationship with them, it might help us out. Secondly, we do have a good relationship with MAG, but MAG ran into troubles, and that's the reason that we've got Cinco de Mayo is because they ran into troubles there 13 years ago, and were asked to leave the property and were unable to return. And so social license is an issue there. Well, with MAG being gone, being snapped up by Pan American, that entity doesn't exist anymore. And so the local community and some of the community still accuse MAG of funky business. Some of that community still exists. And now with MAG out of the picture, that should also benefit us longer term.
So it's like you get to start with a clean slate now at Cinco de Mayo, as opposed to having some of that mag baggage kind of there, but not there.
Yeah, that's what I would hope. And then, like I said, that's the micro level. And the macro level, this is going to bring a lot more attention to Mexico. And, Pan American's the go-to name in the silver space. And, you see Pan American or Hecla making plays in an area. Well, that tells you that, the majors, I'll say, are coming in. And I think it's exciting times.
No, I agree. It's exciting times, not only for the silver industry, but for Mexico and your company. One final question as it relates to Pan American and yourselves. If you exercise your option, they get 19.9% of Apollo. Does Pan American, out of the original agreement they had with Apollo, own shares in an Apollo? And does that disrupt your share structure at all?
They do not own shares. We paid them cash for Waterloo. So no, it won't disrupt anything. There's a 240 million shares issued and outstanding in the company now. If we were to issue, there's enough cash in the company right now to actually exercise the option because it requires some drilling to exercise the option if we can get the community on side, let us go back to work there. So at the end of the day, you might be issuing, if it happened prior to any other financing in this company, you'd be issuing MAG a 60 million share, or sorry, not MAG, Pan American, a 60 million share block of the company. There'd be 300 million shares out, and so they'd be 60 of the 300, and it wouldn't be that consequential to the company. Given the interest of investors in the silver space now, and Pan Americans, depending on our developments at Cinco, I'm sure Pan American might be interested in talking about cash or stock, or like there's a lot of opportunity here to continue that discussion. We'd be thrilled to have Pan American on our share register, but yeah, I don't know what I'm saying here, Michael.
Yeah, no, that's quite all right. It's one of those things where once all this dust is settled on everything, then things will become a lot clearer. But right now, there's an awful lot of dust in the air. But once that settles, I think what we've discussed here is it's good times for the silver miners, good times for Mexican miners. and the potential is there for it to lead good times for Apollo Silver as well. If
Well,
people want to follow the Apollo Silver story, how would they do so, Andy?
well, you can go to our website, apollosilver.com, or you can reach out to us here at the office. And, there's research coverage out there. There's, I don't know, two or three brokerage firms that cover it now and follow it. And I suspect there's more to come. And so it's a liquid name. It trades on 3 different exchanges. It's not that difficult to find. And
Okay, I'm going to give you the final word on the merger, Andy. Well, what do you say?
I think it's fabulous for the industry. The space is going to get tighter. There's less places for investors that want to ride this silver precious metal wave, and and timing's good. So I think it benefits all of us in this space, and companies like Apollo are with a diversified asset package in 2 good jurisdictions are going to be the benefit of that. So I think it's nothing but blue sky from here for us.
Wonderful, well said, and I look forward to watching this story spill out into to all the things we talked about today. Thanks very much for your time, Andy.
And thank you, Michael.
The Prospector News podcast is for educational purposes only. The opinions expressed are those of the participants and are not to be taken as investment advice. Listeners need to do their own due diligence and seek advice of a licensed investment advisor.